And am I sharing right now or not?
Yes, we see DuckDuckGo.
Okay. Let's minimize this, move it over there. Okay, that works. Yeah, DuckDuckGo. Got it. I want to show Almanacs here real quick. I've not ever looked at this on my computer. I have it on my phone. So I think I can log in. I don't recall that I ever set up a, oh, and I don't have, that's why I wanted to come on early so I could do this. Ah, wrong, wrong one. Okay, now let's see if, it's got it. All right, it's logging me in. Cool. Very cool. Okay. We're close. Cool. Huh. Why? Oh, I'm too far down. All right, let's get back up here. There's where I want to be. Okay. Right. Good. I wondered why it was not showing. Now we're getting what I want. Good. So this is a property that I closed on a week ago today. And I talk about it? It's kind of a blur. Did I talk about it much last week? I've talked a little bit about it before, but
Yeah, just a little bit.
okay. I'm gonna pull up Google Earth here.
Some people are coming in right now.
Well, hey, everybody, good to have you. We are still a little early, but we started just a tiny bit early because I wanted to get some things ready. So you're catching us just a little ahead of time. And we're going to go new, unless I've got one for, I don't think I have one yet for, maybe this one is. Let's see if this is, no, not really. Let's just search here. Find it. There's 95, I'm pretty sure. All right, now I'm a little lost. Let's see. There's Marsing. Back up. I'm gonna have to go all the way back up to Marsing. Okay, you leave Marsing. And maybe this is the turn. Yeah, there's the turn. Okay. Now we're getting it. I go more closer. Closer. Here we go. All right, now we're getting there. Where's the Oregon border here? Let's zoom out. Nope, not there. Ah, there we go. Rockville. That's what I want. I don't know what this is over here. So it's been a little while since they filmed there. Historical imagery. Okay, the older and the most recent one is 2023. And let's see. It looks like as we go back a little further, 2020, 2019, 2016, 2013, 2011, 2011, 2009, 2006, 2006, 2005, 4, 4, 3, 94, 92. And that's usually where it stops, 85. And notice it's a terrible image there. Not a very good image here either. 84, 2003. That's not bad. 2004, 2005. August. Well, we are at the top of the hour. We're past it. So, hey, everybody, I am scrolling at a new property that we just acquired. And here it is now showing it a little bit out. So this is a perfect example of the economic model, everybody. This is going to be the new Mountain Sky Ranch, Idaho. And we haven't come up with exactly the name yet. It's going to either be Mountain Sky Ranch Rockville, because I'll show you where here in a little bit, is the historic ghost town, let's just call it here, see Rockville, of Rockville. And in 1930, there was a stage stop there, and I'm not probably going to take the time to show you that today, but there there was a graveyard, and right now I can't find any evidence of the gravestones. And probably 10 years ago, I have some images of the gravestones that were there, but I'm not able to find them. I can find all of the footings and the foundation area for the stage stop. The school got moved over somewhere over here into Oregon. I'm told somewhere around this Dead Man Gulch area here. Not sure of that. I haven't gone over there yet to look at it. I'm curious if does Google Earth go back in time also? I think it does. I don't know if that's just going back and on Onyx. I don't know what Onyx uses. Google Earth does. That's what we were looking at previously. So this is an app called Onyx, and Onyx is what is commonly used by outdoors folks to help determine if a property is one that can be used for public use, because it shows public properties as their ownership. So as we were to zoom in, this is a bunch of waypoints that I've put onto this property that, as of last Thursday, a week ago today, we are now the proud owners of. And if I were to click on that, it'll show the previous owner. This is who I bought it from, Andrew Allison. And it shows that it's 160 acres, 159.03. And it is located in Owyhee County. It describes whether there's been some pronghorn entries in terms of wildlife there. That's just what that was showing. There's grazing allotments, and that means who is it that, which landowner, and here you see this grazing allotment right here. There's a landowner that has use of this land, and there's a different landowner that has the use of this land, possibly. I don't know yet who the landowners are that have the usages. And the idea is to build another Mountain Sky Ranch location here, and where we do economic types of business activities, and reaching out to all of you as our community, and especially those of you watching this as a replay, because we're going to be looking for people who want to partner with us. And as we did before, we want people who have business ideas that could work appropriately at this property, who are willing to contribute their time, their expertise to the venture, and we'll provide the land. We own it. We'll provide expertise from a business perspective. We have some of that, and we'll provide potentially some capital. If we can't get the capital, we'll jointly go out and find it from other parties. And it's an amazing way if you have a business idea and want to be involved with us. And by the way, that is another phone line that I have here in my office. You hear it now in the background. And it's going to be a call on a different line. And I only get one or two a day on it. And it seems like it always happens when we're having a webinar. I don't know why. That's the one or two that I'll get today. The other map that I have up of this area is this one, which is Google Earth. And I was looking at some different dates. Right now we're at 2000. So now you compare, you can see that this is what's called McBride Creek Road right here coming in. And this is Dead Horse Road going up here. So now if we go back to Onyx, you'll see that that's right there. There's McBride Creek. There's, and here it's called the Rocks Road. So this is just something to learn about properties. This is a county road. This is a private road. And on Onyx, they show private roads that are probably potentially drivable with a vehicle with wheels, like this. They show trails with dotted lines like this one, and this one down here. So in between, as less developed roads. I haven't been on this one yet. It is not very developed right here. So I don't know why they think it gets much more developed up this way. And maybe because it says 218, I don't know. It's showing 218 in a number of different places here. And all this does is shows who owns this land, which is BLM. We have no private owners within 2 miles of us, which is cool. We want that. We have no power to this site. This is completely off grid. It has all the characteristics that we want to do a brand new development for a site. And I've taken a few pictures around it. So let's see if they'll come up. I'll show you a couple of them. It should come up on there. Here's one. That's what it looked like, I believe, in probably December. And there's mountains up above it. Those are big lava rocks that are each 20 to 25 feet tall that we're seeing over there. This is the McBride Creek Valley. So I believe that was this picture. So it's looking this way right up here. There's another one that is looking this way. And so that's looking over into Oregon, which Oregon is a mile approximately away right here. And so that's that one. And now let's look at this one. This one's looking up at those large lava rocks, which are right up here in this area. And then this one was taken from the road. And let's see what that one looks like. That's the bottom. Again, I guess I already showed that one. Let's see, those are the, oh, let's see if this one, I think that is the one that we're on. Yeah. Let's look at this one. I don't think I looked at that one yet. Yeah. A little different view. This is looking this way, back out at those lava rocks that are on the hillside. Anyway, right now we're trying to decide, are we going to make our, we'll call it our headquarters site in either, I'm going to go back to Google Earth. This will show it better. It won't have all these dots in it. And I'm going to come a little bit closer to today's date on Google Earth. Mark, you please let me know if there's people are putting questions or comments in, and
I'm looking at it.
to them. Here's one that in 2011 was taken about this time of the year, December 31st. We're, let's say, 3 weeks ahead. Look how green it was then. And again, there isn't any snow there yet now. And here in 2011, there wasn't either. So it's not like we're super dry, but we are, I think, fairly green for this time of the year. This is a really high resolution picture. And when this was done in 2011, someone was camping right here. Those are 2 RVs. And we're getting down to where it's getting blurry. Go out just a little bit further. And remember the property, just to give a perspective, we'll go out a little bit more. Property is approximately this is that road that showed leaving it. I gotta make sure I get to the right spot here. Let's get to where we're in about the same degree of. Put this over. I'm gonna get rid of that. See if they get these to overlap. Well, no, wrong one. That one. That's a little bigger still. Not far off though. So the property is about like, here, we'll go in the Onyx one, we'll show it. About from here over here. I actually draw it. That's one thing you can do on Google Earth. You can draw lines. So I'm gonna add a path. And I'm going to be guessing at this a little. I think it's going to be something like, let's look at Onyx again. Out here. Up straight north. I'm going to guess to about here. We can mess with this as we get on, and I believe it'll be down to about there, and then somewhere to about here. Oops, that one didn't mark. Let's do that again. There. And over to about here. And down to here. This is not perfect. And then over. Let's see how many acres that says. And let's save it. And let's put it Mountain Sky Ranch. And right now we're going to call it Rockville, Idaho. I am very interested in you guys' opinions about whether that's going to be the right name or not. And then let's look at this and see the area, 255 acres. So I have it too big right now. My guess is I've come this way too far. So we'll move some things here in a minute. It should be 160 acres. I think, though, as we look here, I think I'm pretty close on this part of it. And I bet I'm too long down here. So let's click on the line again. I think that you're able to move corners. Go edit. Yep, here we go. Let's move this back to about there. This back to about there. And see what that gives us. Go done. In the area 218, we're still too big. I think this is not too far off here, although this might go down a little bit. Let's add it again. This might go down to about here. Let's set this down to about, and then let's see what that does. 190. We're getting closer. Let's add it once more. I think it's going to go back here this way. I think this other part's about right. And it is 4/4 what, 40-acre areas, which are 182. We're getting really close. I'm not going to take it a whole lot more than that right now. So it's approximately 4,000 feet. There is a peak that's in one corner of it right up here. That's why I think this is not too far off, or it's either this one or this one that is in the property. This is probably 1,000 feet higher than the creek, which is at 4,000 feet. And this is McBride Creek and Dead Horse Creek coming up here. I think we actually have this just a little big over on this side, but we'll do that later. But it has a very nice flat area up here. And I'm thinking now, I'm describing this for development purposes, for where we're going to put our headquarters and other sorts of development activities. This is a ridge right here, so that's a high point, and this is probably 300 feet higher than the creek. Not that much. It's not really that steep. And then, so this is, let's say it is 300. This is 300 feet elevation down here. And then down to this creek is a very similar elevation. So a little steeper on this backside than it is here. And like I said, this is all very flat up here, but then this is uphill going up this way. And like I said, probably 1,000 feet elevation to the very highest. But even here is nothing like as steep as it was in Colorado, or as it is on the property in Colorado. Very plain type of an area through here, plain meaning flat, along the creek. Here, all of this. Same thing over here along this creek. We're going to put an area initially of about 5 acres for our paddocks, for all the wildlife, all the domesticated animals that we'll have. And we're going to be starting out with chickens, alpacas, goats, cattle, and horses. Horses are obviously to be used for transportation more than anything else, and recreation. I'm going to zoom out here again and show you just how wild this whole area is. We do have a neighbor 2 miles away right here. There are neighbors somewhere over here, probably about 4 miles away. And there's one neighbor up this way, about 6 miles away. Otherwise, this is all wild. Over this way, now I'm going to give it in a perspective of a different description of the distances. Right somewhere in here is what's called Silver City, which was the boom town in the 1800s of Idaho for gold and silver. And let's get rid of this. I think Silver City is going to be about, I might be wrong on this still. Let's zoom out a little bit further. Oh, no, it's it's a little farther down this way. And these peaks in the Silver City area are, in some cases, 7,000, 8,000. And so remember, the site we were just at, this one right there, is 4,000 feet. Where I live right now and where I'm doing the webinar from is in Nampa, about right there. And from there to this site is about 42 miles from here to there. So you can see this is maybe 30 miles from Silver City. And this is where like I said, the historic gold mining in the state was in the 1800s. It's where they thought they'd hit the mother lode. So I am guessing these are mining scars here. I have not been in this area at all yet. Well, here we're getting closer to it. You can start to see. Yeah, and maybe this is even an active mine. I have not studied that at all. Boy, the video imagery there is excellent. So Silver City, obviously here you see where there were mines very close here on Florida Mountain. Those are obviously areas where that's been mined. This is your historic old, and not a ghost town. There still are people that live here, but not many. Let's zoom out again to Silver. Okay, there's Silver City. Let's zoom in there and see if we see buildings. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's the structures, of which most probably are occupied. There's even a Catholic church there. See if we get a little closer, if we'll show other businesses. We're just about out of focus area here. The campground. And again, let's just see how far this is from where I live, the Boise metropolitan area. Remember, I said our site, which is going to be map, there it is. That's probably about 30 miles. And where we lived is right up here. Since we've been in Idaho now 2 years and 4 months, you've heard me talk about several other properties that we looked at, that we tried to buy before we got this one. One of them was on Blacks Creek, and it was located about right. I'll zoom in and show you even right where that was. It was, that's not it. I don't think that's actually the right exit. So that's a rest stop. Oh, that's the right exit. Oh yeah, I didn't go far enough. That's, if you remember, we've talked about, that's the gold mine right there. This is an underground gold mine. Mine shaft is right here in these buildings. This is a couple of shops and storage areas around it. This is what's called the Cunamora Road, and it goes this way. And last year, even at this time, we were talking about properties that included this area right here. And I've done webinars even from out here. This is a much bigger property that we had a chance to buy, 3,200 acres. And it was here and up, all the way up to this road up here. And then down this way. So it was kind of all in this area. So now let's zoom out even further, show where that is compared to the property that we now own, which is over this way a little ways, a little more. Right there. Okay. And last year, we spent the whole year trying to acquire the site that is up this way in Riggins, and more specifically, 9 miles out of Riggins at Riggins Hot Springs, which is right here. Which, by the way, there's the date of that one was 2011. Okay. Let's go further ahead here. There's 13. Still 13. There's 16. There's 18 or 20, 22, 23. That's the most recent on Google Earth. We had it in 25. Looked a lot like this, not a whole lot different. Here's what's big time changed, not that far recent past, is this RV park. We go back here. Was there in 20, was not there in 16. Okay, gone, not there at all. And there's a pretty good gap in the timing of these photos. I'm going to open up one more map here, which is just Google Maps. Mark, any questions from anybody or anything?
I don't see questions yet.
Yeah. And maybe it wasn't Google Maps that I have. Maybe it's Google My Maps that I've got saved. I think it is. So we're going to change that. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to go back to Google My Maps. Oops, my. And all of these maps are just a little different. Yep, this is the one we wanted. So we'll get started here. And we do have a map of Riggins. So here's one that we did of Riggins. We'll open that because this is a great map to put structures, things that you want to potentially do if you build it out. This was also 160 acres, differently shaped, off the charts steep. So from this point down to here is 2,500 square feet. This is just super steep right here behind the lodge up to this point. This is a ridge up above here. Again, probably 2,500 square feet. Our lodge was right there. And we were potentially going to build lots down here, and more down this way, utilize lots for different purposes. And that was going to be our plan there. And I am pretty sure we've got a map of, we're going to go back to a different one. Let's open a map. We'll go back to here, and instead we'll open Blacks Creek because I'm pretty sure we've got one there for Blacks Creek. That's weird. I don't know why it's showing that. That's a strange view. I just want to say that, and why I want to go to open a map. Why is it going to that? That's weird. Oh, here we go. There's the lodge at Riggins. Childress Walkers. That's another Walkers is one we looked at through the winter a little bit. 80 acres, not too far from here. Here's the site we just did. So it's interesting. I guess no, you know what? I did that previously. That's another, I had thought about that. Maybe we'd get this one. Let's click on that. Wow, I had actually done one on this map back on September 14th. So I'd already been thinking about it. And so that's now more clearly, the rocks show up a lot more clearly. And I think that we can actually look at age, but instead of doing that, it's not like I'm stuck on 160 acres, but it seems like a lot of the properties we look at are that size, because if we now go back and again, here we were thinking about calling it Hawaii, and maybe we will end up calling it that. But let's go look at another map. why it shows these, Mark. There's Gold Camp, which was not quite, it was a different size. That's the one that we did in Colorado. Bank. Come on, open. Maybe we didn't ever put one there. Oh, yeah, we had to have. Save it, shows where it is. It's not opening it. Maybe we never did do it for Gold Camp. So let's not look at Gold Camp. Let's look at a different one. Mountain Sky Ranch is what I want to probably get to. It'll be older here. There's Blacks Creek we looked at. Let's show that real quick. I don't know whether insert. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, that was a much bigger property. There was that ranch site that we were showing on when I was scrolling. It was right there. Zoom in. Remember the paddocks that were right along the road right there? Again, much bigger property. Let's open a different one. Yeah, here's Mountain Sky. This is Colorado, where we lived for 17 years. And I don't know what date this is done on, but these were some maps of some retriever activities we were doing. But this is fairly recent because notice this is different, whole different look to what we used to call the pit, which was right here. I don't know that with Google Earth, I'm pretty sure you got to go to My Maps. So let's go to Google My Maps and go look at some other maps. Let's look at some open My Maps from Drive. Let's go there and look at Mountain Sky Ranch. Well, that is that same time frame. No, it isn't. This is the older. This is now back. This is October 2020, where the pit. Oh, I think this should get. This might zoom. We may be able to see this clearer here in just a second. Had all kinds of structures: shipping container, semi, shipping container, shipping container, shipping container, shipping container, all of which you have seen in multiple webinars and used for many different kinds of activities. Large building, bigger than a shipping container, but that was an old office building. These were trailers. This is the house we lived in for a number of years. This was our mobile barn for alpacas. This was our greenhouse structure, which you've seen any number of different things in. And then lastly, our building for our alpaca males, and then all of our ponds. This one being the largest and probably just under 3 acres. And then moving up the hill, this was our house that we built in 2006 to 2008 that we called the Big House, 928. And we've done webinars from there, actually before the eat community. We did what we called puddles from up from that side. But in total, this is a 160-acre site, and I don't think I showed the borders on this map. With Carter Lake, 5 miles long there. And Berthoud, I don't even know, I've never even heard of Buda, I don't even know what that is. And then down the road a little further, Denver. It's a Denver area, an hour's drive from here. And if we really want to go back, I could get you back to Sioux Falls, which was my second rural property. And we could go to Moscow, Idaho, and see the first one that I've had in my adult life, which was, hate to admit it anymore, but 50 years ago. We actually did move into that in 75, so it's 51 years ago now. All right, Mark, questions or comments from anyone, or I'm going to keep going because I want to show what, again, we're planning to do now at this site.
Yeah. Yeah, no questions yet.
All right. Expand my image of myself here for just a second. I could tell you why there isn't anything at all. First place, there's a couple people, old timers here that have been around for a little while. Mark Fay, how are you doing,
Yes.
Fay? It's been a while since we've seen you. She's down in New Zealand, I believe. And we should just throw in some stuff in the chat about New Zealand. Steve has been coming a little bit more recently, but we ought to interview both of you two. You guys should be willing sometime to come on and just not today. Don't want to embarrass you or have it be short term, but come on sometime and talk with us. We would love to be able to have you. I'm going to minimize again now, though, and take it back so I can still be showing you. These are all amazing tools, and I guarantee you, for wherever you're living in the world, you can use them for yourselves at the places you're at. And this historical imagery is amazing. So let's stick with Mountain Sky Ranch just a little bit because there was a lot of changes that happened there. I'll zoom back into it. There you can see a little dot there, which is those were retrieves that we did. And again, data attribution on this one, and we are on Google. No, we're on Google Earth right now, right? Yeah. And on Google My Maps, we could also look at attribution. So here's what I said. This is the most recent version. This is taken in, it says 2026. That is not a 2026 image, I don't believe. Let's look up the data, this time frame here. Let me get rid of that. I'll do that. I actually thought it was on Google Maps where we could get the taking it back in time. You definitely can on Google Earth. So let's take Google Earth. So again, remember that's October 7th, 2020. Let's then go back. There's April. April still can be winter in Colorado. And this year it wasn't. It was no snow at all. Here's September of 2019. And again, beautiful that time of the year. July of the same year. If we zoom down, you can see our pastures. These were all separate livestock pastures. That's why you see different looks of this. Because at that time, in 2019 and in 20, we had probably 500 chickens here, 350 alpacas living all over. These were both chicken coops up here on the hillside. And we regeneratively grazed and moved our livestock all over this property. And I built in the 2005 timeframe all of these ponds. When we first got here, well, we'll just keep going back, and I think we'll see back in time. So the ponds pretty much didn't change a lot from maybe about this 17 time frame on. This is algal growth on the surface, or not bad. This is just from the time of the year, October. This is probably the most fertile time of the year here. And this is an island, and that's duckweed around the side of it there. You can see the bridge going over to the island, and that looks green, and it's not. That is a perfectly, beautifully blue, clean pond. By the way, I was here about a month ago, unfortunately, for John Nillen's funeral, and it was the worst wind that I'd ever seen hit this area because we have a gazebo right here, and it's fine, but portions of this dock, all of it, this dock had all blown off, and it was over sitting on the shore over here. And I have some images of that, which I can actually put those up and show you some of those. And we'll end that up. But let's keep going backwards here. So there's 16. There's 14. Again, not seeing much change. Let's zoom out just a little bit more. You're going to see a lot of change before about now going backwards. From 12 backwards is when you're going to really start to see the changes. 11. Still, most of the ponds are the same. A lot of change, not nearly the kinds of amount of stuff in this pit. Still the greenhouse that was put in 2010. So let's see. And actually, even probably earlier than that, maybe 8 or 9. Yeah, there's in 10, it's still there. Weird picture. That's in the winter. That's snow all over the ground there. But there's the pond. It's frozen. It'll freeze through the winter. That's all ice on that pond. 08, again, a little earlier, but 08 is when we were finishing up. Remember, there was another, you've seen a building here, but we were finishing up building this big house. And we had developed more ponds that now current owners have not left in. And this pond, if you remember, as we go, let's go forward a little bit. Could be a little further than that. Even 12, that wasn't there. 14, it wasn't there. 16, it wasn't there. 17, it wasn't there. There we go. 19, it's there. I built this pond full of fish, and also all kinds. It just shows you what you can do to land and make it better. Let's go back, because that will produce more biomass and more native to that area than just about anything else you can do with it. Let's keep going backwards here. We bought the site in 05. 07, I wonder if nope, look at how few ponds there were in 07. We had put the place in, and I forgot, and Joe Aiken had helped us build this greenhouse there. But look at we were just barely getting our alpacas at this time. So none of the structures. Matter of fact, we may not even, in April, we didn't get our alpacas until to the summer of 07. This pond, we ultimately created a second pond. We put a bridge across here, and then we put all these ponds up in this upper end. Well, let's even go back further, and you're going to see there was even less at different times. Gone, all these up here in 06. And that we put this road in literally right. Notice it was barely here, and this is where we were starting to put footings in for, again, what I've been calling the big house. We also, and let's go ahead with that one more, late 07. Nope, by 07, we hadn't gone forward yet. 08, we moved the road further through to about another quarter mile, which is the end of our property, was right here. one more back and you're not going to see a building at all. Well, I was still in August. Okay, there we were still doing some, and the greenhouse wasn't there yet, so that'll give Joe a good time to see that he somehow between August of 06 and October of 06 is when we can limit that down, Mark, to where we put in that greenhouse building between October and August of 06.
Mhm.
We bought it in November of 05, but we didn't bring structures in until after this, obviously, but we had put a road in. We added this road starting right here, going on around here in that 05. Now look at this pond. Now the pond is just tiny. It ends right here. Let's go back 05. Here's October of 05. We didn't even own it by this time. Bought it in November, July. Look at this pond again. Much, much smaller. November of 03. Hardly even a road by then. 99. And 85 is bad. So they go all the way, goes all the way from 99. Let's go see if the pond, what it was like. Pond was just, again, tiny. Interesting. There's been a dock there for a long time, all the way back there to 99. You can kind of see a little bit of where the pond is there. There's a big reservoir now. You're going to see as time goes on. So up right here, wait, let's see that one as it gets built. Not there by 85, not in 86, not in 87, not in 88, not in 89, 90, 91. Actually, it is this one right here. I was thinking it was a little bigger than that. This is total water supply, completely isolated, no accessibility by the public.
So right now, this property, the one we bought in um Colorado, right?
This is
In
Colorado.
yeah,
No,
this
this
is
is
Colorado.
Mountain Sky Ranch in Colorado.
Okay.
And it's still, I have a small ownership interest in it, but it's primarily owned by Premier Stone. And it's
Okay.
so really it has become less economic. There is a less of a diversity of, this is that big lake that I said that you weren't, that I
Mhm.
thought wasn't even there earlier, but I guess it's been there for quite some time, but it's completely water supply. You can't even, they won't allow anybody on it. You can't get anywhere near it. There's fences up around it.
Okay. So the property in Idaho, that's the new one, and it's off grid, right? Right now. So
Yeah,
no.
well, so is this. When I bought this
Okay.
in 2006, there was no power, nothing. It was just as much remote as we are
Mhm.
now. There were other properties or other residents around it because there's even a subdivision. Let me show you right here. There are hundreds of people. See this subdivision? Those are all houses.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
And there's another one up here on the hillside, all these houses, and that's in 19. If you keep kind of looking, you're going to see more and more houses through the years in here. That's that's the fall in 2020. But now, if we go to view all projects again, and let's go back to this one. There we go. That's one we just drew, which we're admitting is not as accurate, but not bad. It's not too inaccurate. So it's very likely we'll do, this is a relatively flat, meaning geographically flat area down in here. It's very likely we will do our I'm noticing something, by the way, which is that is what I said was that's where the stage stop was. That's and this is 2020. That's the outline of where the stage stop was. That was about an 80-foot long by 25, maybe 30 feet wide, 3-story building. What I've not been able to find yet is where the graveyard is. And I think it's got to be somewhere over here. So this is a ridge right up here above it, not that steep from down here up to it. And then there's another valley right over here, all of this, which is on our property also. And then it goes up again where this road goes up. So this is a high point up here. There's a big tree, and this is where I have this off just a little. The corner of the property is right here at that tree. I could actually go back into edit. I'm not going to do that right now. Well, let's go further forward here. Maybe even see that a little better. That tree is right by the corner of the property. And here's that foundation area again. And right over here is a well, and right down here is a well. So let's go now, open one more tab. We're close to end of time. So I'm just going to open this tab, go with photos. I think it's Google Images. Yeah, Google Photos. Oh, here's things that I took in December of 25. Oh, okay. Remember that I said the wind, Mark? This was done not long ago at John when I went to John's place. So this is actually going to be January of 26. This is Mountain Sky Ranch. It says that's not right. Was I there in December? Maybe it is accurate, John or Mark. Was I there? This was our house in the Parker area that I took pictures of.
Yeah, I think you were there recently.
Yeah, but that was there I was there in John Nillen's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is
Funeral.
yeah, I was there for his funeral. Let's look at November again. It's our new dog, Sadie. I don't want this. I want to go forward again. Let's go back up to, let's quickly go. I'll
Get a
go back
picture
up
of
to,
Trump.
yeah. This is the stone entry to Mountain Sky Ranch. This is what we were looking at just a minute ago. This is the ponds. You saw those. But here's what's bizarre is this weather that caused Yeah, it goes to best of here. I don't know why. If you can just look at all the photos, I thought I could see everything. Albums? I don't think I put them in albums. There's Blacks Creek, Community at Riggins. And then none of these are in albums yet, so I've not necessarily learned how to use this right here. Let's look at this these. This is going to play this as if it's a video of some kind. That's Mountains. No, that's not Mountains. Yeah, it is. It's going out to Mountain Sky Ranch. That's our home that we lived in Parker, Colorado. This is another view of it. This was one of the most interesting homes. We used our highest electricity bill and heating bill ever in this house because it's an Earthship home. Didn't ever do webinars from this one. Was $36. It was, to be honest, it was a lot nicer when we lived in it. But so that's facing south right there. I do think I have some picture. I took a picture down here of what it looks like down that way.
So you mean your energy bill was $36?
$36 for an
Oh,
8,000
wow.
square foot house. There it is.
Oh,
That's where the solar came in. This
oh,
is,
okay. So these are all windows, right? Or
that's
panels.
what's called a solar room below where
Okay.
those windows were, where we would store energy, and we had 300 tons of rock underneath the house.
Wow.
This was just at a park that's in Berthoud. This is now Mountain Sky Ranch. This was our entry area. We did not have these beautiful entry like this is now. Those are those ponds. That's how windy it was that day. That's the sand, the quarry that's up on the hill. That's what happened to our dock. That dock was right there. That had happened just that day before I was there. That blew over there from somewhere. This is John's funeral. This was at the graveyard. That's obviously my leg. I don't know why that's there, but I think that's the last of those pictures. So let's finish that one. I think I have some of um, Rockville, and for some reason it doesn't have the more recent ones. I had some Rockville ones before that time. These were at CES. No, not at CBS. This was at another show in Colorado and in
But
Idaho.
yeah, you never talked about uh your notes from CES. So what
Yeah,
is
I'm going to
new?
do that. I have a
Yeah.
lot of stuff from CES still. This is Walker's because we were looking to potentially buy that. That's my horse, Yeti. That's my horse, Bonnie. You haven't seen pictures of them yet. Well, we'll be seeing a lot more of them here in the near future. Um, here's rocks up at this is at Rockville. This is these are on our property there. This is there's our one of our wells, which is an old style well. Okay, this is kind of cool. Well, we are out of time, so I'm going to bail from this. But this is what we're going to be building, structures that'll look like this at Rockville. I have not yet made the pictures yet, but um, this is one of the pins out there. There's the tree that's way down in that corner. So that's the tree that is at right there. There's the tree. So let's go to those pictures. There it is. That's that tree. Uh, let's just do this video a little bit more. It'll show you. I'll probably talk a little and we'll end with this. I hope it'll start to show here. You haven't seen that truck yet. That's one of my newer truck. I don't know what happens and why photos end up being at angles. I obviously wasn't standing on my side like this. Don't know why that's that way. There's the building site that I was talking about right there of where the stage stop was. This is how flat it is down on the bottom, where this is probably where we'll build some of our structure. This will be our headquarters. That's an old underground phone line that's got a tire around it. I don't know why this is on its side like this. I apologize, everybody. How I didn't do this. I didn't take it this way. Why does it end up looking like this, Mark? It's weird.
Hmm. Probably taken by your phone,
Yeah,
holding
it's
up
all by
right.
my phone, but why
Mm,
did it end up going sideways?
mm. You didn't like specify whether it's
That's a
horizontal.
pin that is down here by this tree, and there's another pin at a different location, which means those are the property lines. Here's another one. Let's see if this one goes on its side. Now this one's the right angle. This is another picture looking across the road. That's on the property. There's a vehicle down the road. And that's looking off the property going downriver. No, that's looking up. That's looking to upwards. Yeah. So I took this from a hillside. So that was west. This is down where the original little town of Rockville was. I was looking back to the west. This is up on that ridge above where the the old town side of Rockville would have been right down here. It's really flat up here on the top too. It's the end of that. All right. Well, we are going to probably call it for the day, everybody. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you all and look forward to next week. And we've got some guest speakers coming up. Mark, why don't we end you telling us a little bit about our guest speakers?
Yeah, so next week, Wednesday, we have Colin, and he's going to talk about water purification and his company. And then in February, we have Aaron. So Aaron is going, we're not sure yet, but yeah, he's going to be a guest.
All right. Well, we're just going to go a little longer till this video is over. It'll be done in about 30 seconds, and then we'll sign off. This is at the edges of the property there in Rockville. This is a cattle guard that I can actually move because these fences, we don't need to worry about their cattle getting back and forth across them. But that's looking down off of our property. Property is over there on that hillside. And Mark, take us out, my buddy.